Welcome everyone, Oyster here to go through your Letter from Producer Live part 56, I believe it is, for Final Fantasy XIV. Now, obviously, I haven't been online on YouTube for a prolonged period of time. The last stuff I put out was my short casual videos on Dancer, Bard and Machinist, and there hasn't really been anything else. There hasn't been any Good Evening A Aussie episodes, there hasn't been any additional content. The reason for that is that me and Mr. Marpy just haven't had time. We've unfortunately had a lot of stuff going on away from the game and in real life that has limited the amount of time we've had to do things. So going forward, this is actually going to be the last video that gets posted on the Good Evening A Aussie channel going forward, unless we do start bringing back the podcasts, and at which point they'll probably pop up on there. However, it's likely to be that any content going forward is going to be on my own channel, which is the old channel, which is OISTY, OISTY, capital T. If you want to go over, like, comment, subscribe on the videos, I'm going to try and move the videos across. It's a prolonged process because I've got a lot of videos on the Good Evening AOZ channel, but we obviously want to try and get everything across to there. And plus it just means that it's not going to be having content on there that isn't Final Fantasy XIV related. So Good Evening AOZ was set up as a Final Fantasy channel. It was solely to focus on that game. However, I'm going to try and do some other things over the course of the new year. So I'm hopefully going to be able to do Football Manager 2020. If my other half has been nice and got me for Christmas, I'm going to hopefully do some of that. Put some videos with that up. Magic: The Gathering Legends, which is an MMORPG coming from Wizards of the Coast, and Ark is hopefully going to come in 2020. Or a lot of information is going to come in 2020. I love Magic. I play Magic, the Gathering Arena, and it is something that appeals to me, so it's probably going to be something I look at, doing a lot of content around there, such as the launch trailer, things like that. I am hopefully going to try and get a video about the launch trailer once I have a time and a chance to go into a deep dive about it. I'll also be putting up Final Fantasy XIV stuff, so letter from producers, patch notes, some content when I do it, because I have joined a new free company. So as I get situated there and feel more comfortable and they're happy for me to put the content up, I will put content up as well. So during this live letter, you might see me occasionally reach for a drink. It is just because I have noticed in some of my videos I do get very, very dry throated, and it causes me to cough and splutter, and I just want to be a little bit more natural on videos and stuff, so I am going to try and do a lot more, and it is something I'm going to try and do a little bit more often. So hopefully this kind of thing where I'm having to reach for a drink and having really bad dry throat and things like that doesn't affect me going forward. But until then, let's start going through the producer. Not through the producer, through the letter from the producer. So they start off, so there are 18 million adventures worldwide, so that's 18 million probably characters created. Just there was 14 million around one of the FanFest last year, so it's increased by 4 million, probably due to Shadowbringers and the insane reviews and scores that actually garnished. Obviously IGN named Final Fantasy XIV its ongoing game of the year, and I'm not quite sure how they didn't name it, but the actual Game Awards didn't name Final Fantasy XIV ongoing game of the year. They named Fortnite, which seems a bit pointless and a bit ridiculous, seeing as they just technically have started a brand new version of the game, but it's an ongoing game. They ignored Final Fantasy XIV, but that's their decision. Obviously the people like Ninja and people like that obviously bring a much more focused eyeball to Fortnite. So patch 5.18 will come before Christmas, so it's going to be coming the 24th, so it's going to be coming Christmas Eve. So if you want to get your Eden Normal and Eden Savage raids in on Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas, you'll get a nice little present there. The removal of weekly restrictions for those two are going, so you can get as many things as you like. Deep Shadow Solvent will be purchasable using the manufactured coins that you get from the Copied Factory. So this is the item that you use in order to upgrade your 460 weapon up to a 470. And also Season 14 of the Feast will begin. Now, it does say there the weapon exchange could not be made in time, so it won't be implemented on the start. Now, some people seem to think that is in relation to the PvP. Not too sure, just I don't PvP myself, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't anything to do with the Deep Shadow Solvent. So that may actually come a couple of weeks later. But it does say achievements and other rewards will be in the moment the Feast Season 14 is implemented. So to me, it's likely to be PvP related, but I've got a slight, there's a 1-2% chance that could be related to the Deep Shadow Solvent. There is a small possibility that the release date may be delayed, obviously with it being over Christmas, but it is unlikely. There will be job adjustments for PvP as well. First, Ninja will be adjusted. There is some more details further down, but Ninja is one of the highest DPSs in PvP at the moment, so they are going to be adjusting that. And also the new PvP map on Sir Hakar, which only came out a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I think it only came out this Tuesday, quite possibly. Yeah, it only came out on Tuesday. They have identified that things are getting to the point where emphasis on getting kill points is being used as opposed to the capture points, so they are intending to nerf the kill point ratios, as well as some PvP actions will also be adjusted. So we've now got patch 5.2, which is named Echoes of a Fallen Star. Now, they have said that the Echoes that is named in the title is related to our Echo, so the Warrior of Light's Echo, because that's the English name for the Echo. The Fallen Star is, by all lore-related reasons, people seem to be believing that it is the 13th shard. So what is the World of Darkness? So Echoes of the World of Darkness is kind of going to be sort of like where we go from there. Mid-February release, so you're looking at either the 11th or the 18th when it comes to mid-February release. Unlikely to be the 4th or the 25th, because that would fall into the early and late portion of the Japanese calendar. So the 11th, 18th, one of those two dates. They have done all the things they want to implement for the year, so most of it is just adjustments going forward. New MSQ, and it is heading towards the conclusion of the Shadowbringer saga. So I haven't included it in the Google document or in the live letter recap, but they have announced FanFests are coming back in 2020, 2021, North America, Europe and Japan. They did say Las Vegas in the stream, but nobody kind of caught whether or not it was going to be in Las Vegas or not in Las Vegas for the North American one. And they haven't announced anything in terms of location for the European or Japanese one. Just while I'm saying about things I haven't included, I did include it at the beginning, so thank you to Luna Minori and Shinitan. They do all the live translations. Thank you to them. It makes my job so much easier. I couldn't translate this. I'd still be here. Probably when the next live letter comes out, probably just translating the first couple of slides. So big up them. They make my job, and any content creator that uses their information, it makes the job so much easier. So because we've got the FanFest coming up next year, we know we're going to be heading to the conclusion of the Shadowbringer saga. You've got 5.2 in February, and then you're probably going to be talking May, June for 5.3, which is kind of going to be where Shadowbringers comes to a conclusion. It's normally in the 0.3 patch that the current expansion kind of comes to a head. You look at patch 4.3 from Stormblood, where you had the Tsukiyomi trial, at 3.3 in Heaven's Ward, where you had the I'm trying to think what it was. It was the Nidhogg Estinian trial and the Final Steps of Faith. And then in 2.3, I can't remember what 2.3 was, but 2.3 kind of sort of like was the turning point towards the build up for Heaven's Ward, because you started to get find out about Ysayle and Lady Shiva and all those types of things, and Lady Coldheart, I believe she was at the time, and kind of building towards Heaven's Ward. So we're not really that far away. You're probably looking 6, maybe 7 tops for the conclusion of Shadowbringers, which seems really amazing, seeing as we're 6 months into the expansion cycle, and it's still so fresh, it's still so meaningful to a lot of people, because it is such a great story. Totem Story, the MSQ will continue, so that is Arbit. Obviously, he is spoiler warning back up and about, and probably Elidibus in his own body, using Arbit to kind of sort of like mess with the Warrior of Light and to cause trouble on the first. And that was the only screenshot they showed. They did then talk about the new dungeon, and going forward, because of a number of dungeons we already have implemented, they want to invest the cost in other aspects, and we will see later in the patch notes some of the things that they are implementing the time in. So in the odd number patches, we had already went down to one. I'm trying to think of the word, one dungeon, because in, so like just going off Stormblood in 4.1 and 4.3, you had the two ultimates, you had a Ukob and Uru, and then in 4.5 you didn't have an ultimate, but you had Baldressian Arsenal in Eureka. In 5.1 here, you've had the Grand Cosmos, and you've had T, the Epic of Alexander. So in 5.2, we're only actually going to get one dungeon. 5.3, we were expecting it, but in the even numbered patches, we had always had two dungeons. It does mean that the dungeons are probably always going to be story related, and unless there's a story related reason, it's probably going to be the end of revisiting some of the other dungeons, so no more hard modes, which is a shame. Just some of the dungeons I think would have been fun to revisit, but I think a lot of the dungeons now, they are going to be story related. The trust system's really helping, and that could be driving part of it as well. So the dungeon that is coming in 5.2 is the Anemesis Anyenda. Sorry if I pronounced that completely wrong and butchered it. It's going to be something along the lines of the Academia, and they did have a screenshot there, so you can see quite massively that is going to be kind of in the Tempest. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger there, just so that people can see it. I think that looks amazing from a screenshot. I think that just looks absolutely incredible. It's going to be really interesting to go inside. It's obviously going to be main story related, so I'm really interested to see where that goes. The dev code for the dungeon is the Ascian's official residence, or I think in some of the other ones before it had been edited, so like legal department, things like that. Next, the new tribe quest, so new beast tribes, which is the Kitari, or the Quitari. Gathering centric, so botanist, miner, interesting to see if it's fisher, especially with some of the other things that are coming later in this patch. And normally in the FanFest, we found out there was the Pixies, the Numu, and the Dwarfs that were going to be the Beast Tribes, and then normally kind of sort of like the ones we would expect to be the Beast Tribes that we do the Beast Tribe quest for. There hasn't been a gathering-centric beast tribe. The closest I think might have been the Numu, in terms of not the Numu, the Namazu. Just I think there might have been some gathering stuff related to them. However, it's always been two disciples of war / magic and one disciple of the hand beast tribe. So it'll be interesting to see how the gathering one goes. The next thing that they talk about is the new Chronicles of a New Era quest. So the new Chronicles of a New Era quest are going to be the Sorrow of Werlit. That's the title of the first quest. I'm hoping not the title of the actual quest chain. Just it seems a strange title. You've got Gaius and some RR dressed in Garlean garb, as well as a picture of what we know based on the title is the Final Fantasy XIV version of Ruby weapons. So one of the weapons from Final Fantasy VII, along with Diamond, Emerald, and as well as Ruby. So the series is apparently taken off from a segment where Estinian destroyed the facility seen in patch 5.1, which kind of makes sense. So it's basically going to be, we'll be going around and fighting the weapons that the Garlean Empire have developed. So Ruby, Diamond probably, Emerald. I'm not too sure if there is another one. I don't think there is, but I'll just quickly go and check. There's Sapphire as well, so it could be that there are. So it's one of 7 weapons created by the planet and one of the 5 in Final Fantasy VII. So let's just have a quick look to see what the other ones are. Does it tell me? It's not going to tell me, is it? Let's just have a look. don't believe it's going to tell me. Sapphire weapon, ultimate weapon, which we'll probably not see because it'll not make a second appearance. Diamond weapon, ruby weapon, emerald weapon, jade weapon, who was in a mobile game, omega weapon, who was in Dirge of Cerberus. So it's unlikely we'll see them. So I'd imagine you'll see probably Sapphire, Diamond, Ruby, and Emerald as the four, or three of the four that we'll see. I'd imagine Ruby, Diamond, Emerald, Sapphire, three of them four. They may go with Jade or any of the other ones. They'll not go with Ultimate because we've already had Ultimate Weapon anyway. So Ruby Weapon and Extreme version of it. There is one more trial, but they aren't naming it because of how spoilerish it is. Some people are thinking it might be a Hildebrand trial. I know Mr. Happy did a video and he thinks that it might be a Hildebrand trial. He also talked about what I think it might be. So there have been trials in the game where they haven't done a hard mode version of them. So things like the Steps of Faith, the Chrysalis, Cape Westwind. They have done some where they haven't had hard modes or extreme versions, so it could be something like that. So it could be a story mode trial related that isn't in relation to like the actual extreme ones. It's not even going to be revealed in part 2. It'll only be revealed during the patch notes itself. New raid, so Eden's Verse and Eden's Verse Savage, as we were expecting, implemented both at the same time. No delay in this one. You've got a picture there that looks very much like the Thunder Plains from Final Fantasy X, possibly Ramuh related, and what comes to your mind when Ramuh's involved. Will there be orbs? Who knows? It could well be that because we've kind of got another lightning related boss in Ixion, some kind of Ramuh Ixion Centaur creation, which I think would look amazing and definitely be different to what we have had previously. Story will also move forward drastically when it comes to Eden's Verse, so the story will kind of move apace. New quest series for upgradable equipment. They haven't named it yet because it's still undergoing a lot of adjustments, and the upcoming content is likely to be independent and individual due to the feedback that they've received. So some people will likely they'll received a lot of feedback about Eureka, and they have taken it all on board and obviously decided that going forward it's likely to be a lot more individualized. The story is going to be focused around the Bosja Citadel, which is the home of Hrothgar. Anyone that's done the Gunbreaker storyline will have a lot more detail on that. I haven't, so I can't really tell you much about that. I'm going to try and get that done before 5.2, however, so that I can go around and actually enjoy that. Job adjustments, not really much. They are going to make some changes to Red Mage, and it is going to be buffed. However, more details will come in part 2 of the 5.2 live letter, so part 57. PvP actions will be adjusted, no real details there. Ishgardian Restoration project, so they do talk about the concept behind the restoration project. So updated over the course of several patches, which we know. It's designed to be played and enjoyed by both veteran and novice crafters and gatherers, which I'll freely admit it has been. So before Ishgard, I had my 2 gatherers, miner and botanist. I don't include fisher, just my fisher's level 4. I had them at level 70. I had carpenter at 50. I had culinarian at 37, and then the rest of them were in between, so like 19 and 30 something, depending on whether or not I needed any cross class skills. Now all my crafters are at least 50. Both my miner and my botanist are at 80. My fishers start at level 4, which isn't too bad based on some of the stuff that's coming out later on. But I've been enjoying it, and literally I'll go through, and when the next restoration cycle comes out, I'll go from 50 to 60 with them all, and then when the next one's 60 to 70. So I'll be able to get them all to 80 by the end of so like Shadowbringers, and it just means I'm not so like burning out just sitting there crafting for hours and hours and hours. The content introduced in patch 5.11 was designed to introduce players to crafting and gathering with incentives to participate, which is definitely something that I did. 5.2 and onwards will have high-end content. So as you can see there, you've got a before and after picture so far. So it's definitely in the process of being rebuilt. Hasn't completely been rebuilt yet, but in the process of being rebuilt. Mainly you can see so like a lot of the rubble around here is no longer there. And I think kind of around here as well, you can see like there has changed in terms of sort of the renovations that are going on. Diadem changes, so completely Gatherer exclusive now. You can enter as a cycle of the land job from level 10 onwards. You don't need Cerulean tanks, which was a holdover from previous Diadem. The gathered items will be used in the restoration of Ishgard, and you'll earn Skybuilder scripts from them as well. No more enemies. Cycle-based gathering order now, so you jump from island to island. So you've kind of got the map here, so you can see you go around in a big clockwise direction, to get all the different items. You can level up your Disciple of Land jobs. You'll also have something called the Ethoromatic Auger, which is a gauge that you can then use on creatures in the wild to obtain additional items. So as you gather more, you'll be able to fill this gauge. Then when it's filled, you'll be able to use it on monsters and enemies in the wild. Expert recipes, so new collectible items will be added and can be used to earn great rewards. The expert recipes will trigger statuses beyond poor, good, and excellent. Now, this kind of falls into something later on, in that there's going to be like a crafting simulator. I'll just go and see if I can find the screenshot for it. There. So basically what this does is it says, if you use this, this will happen. If you use this, this will happen. And basically it's going to be so that these expert recipes aren't macro based, so you will actually have to craft them normally, whereas like the non-expert stuff you'll just be able to use your normal macros for. Coupon fortune, so scratch off tickets after contributing a certain number of items. It can then be used to redeem various rewards, so this could well be the same as what the battle scratch cards are going to be. Probably is not though, but we do know that's coming as well. No information about it in this one, which is interesting. Ranking system, so set between crafters and gatherers. Reward for people who have contributed to the restoration. Resets every 10 days. It's meant to be there for hardcores. The ranking announcements will be on the lodestone, and you'll get other achievements and rewards based on players' contributions. So as a minimum, you'll get a title, and then depending on the contributions, you'll probably get a lot more. Crafting system updates, so actions will be adjusted. New feature, which we've talked about. Easier to desync stacked items. Company crafts will no longer have a party requirement, so no longer leaving 4 people logged in the company workshop. That's the skill simulator, as the plan to make it less of an RNG, but so you can plan on what's going to happen next. And apparently there'll be a feature similar to hitting a test dummy to test your gathering rotation. Fishing updates, so Patience, Precision Hook Set and Powerful Hook Set has the required level for those being lowered. Fish tugging animations will be made easier to distinguish, and an all-purpose lure will be added to make it properties so that you're not having to carry tons and tons of bait. Ocean fishing has also been added. Fish are exclusive content, so you board a ship at a specific time, you sail. The working theory seems to be between Limsa Laminza and Vesper Bay. Yes, Vesper Bay, where the Waiting Sands is. It's been discussed extensively amongst the dev team. You can receive experience and scripts based on the fish caught, and if you meet certain conditions, a large-scale haul will appear. The next thing they talk about is Skysteel tools. So much like combat jobs get a relic, gatherers and crafters are going to be getting relics as well. Doesn't say whether or not it's gatherers or crafters or both. I'd hope it's both, because then it gives you a little bit more to do. But primary tools upgrade the course of multiple patches. Quests will be given in permanent. We are getting crafter relics. And the final main change is the materia system changing. So one of the things that I think some people have either forgot or actually just don't know, is that when you spirit bond an item to 100%, if you want to, you can then convert that equipment into materia. That will then give you new materia, but you would lose the equipment itself. What they're doing now is that once you've got to 100, you can convert it to materia, but the spirit bond won't get rid of the item, it'll just drop it to 0%. So you can just continue going and going and going with that piece of equipment, and the crafted class requirements for fixing materia will be removed. New elegant tombstones, new game plus chapters, rank increase for the free company. Hopefully that'll either be 3 actions per day or actual level 3 actions. New courses in the Leap of Faith Gate. Fellowships will be available viewing the companion app, and umbrellas will be added. Okay. And then everything else was just kind of so like confirming things. What they did say is that the Yokai Watcher is going to be coming back. Yay. The Vesper Man's going to be easy to attain, and 4 new minions and 4 new weapons. Gunbreaker, Dancer, Red Mage, Samurai. No date yet, however, it will be happening soon. So that's my update for patch Live Letter 56. I hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry, my throat is actually going now, so I'll have to be very quick here. Like I say, all the content will be going over onto Oyster T's channel now, so OISTYT. Link will be in the description below. Until then, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And Merry Christmas.